Today I want to begin by talking about the crisis of masculinity in our culture, because that is what we're facing. There's an epidemic of confused, directionless, depressed, broken young men, and it's incredibly clear to me that this is rooted largely, though not solely, in a scarcity of male role models, specifically a catastrophic lack of present, devoted fathers in the home. This crisis is also driven by, while at the same time helping to create a culture that is deeply hostile to young men, a culture which seems dedicated to demoralizing them and preying on their weaknesses. And this problem is very personal to me because I have two sons with two more to be born sometime in the next couple of weeks, if not couple of days, which means I will eventually be sending 4 young men off into this cultural void. And so I spend much of my day, every day, thinking about how to prepare them for it. And that is also the lens through which I view the Andrew Tate phenomenon. Andrew Tate, of course, is the former kickboxer turned social media personality who rose to prominence as a voice of the so-called manosphere with a message directed primarily at young men. And over time, he amassed a large and devoted following within that group, but not really becoming widely known outside of that demo until big tech decided all at once several months ago to kick him off of every platform. And they did this ostensibly on charges that Tate expresses outrageous and objectionable views, allegedly, which they decided no one should be allowed to say, and more importantly, no one should be allowed to hear. But not for the first time, however, the effort to erase and unperson someone only had the opposite effect of making them more influential and more famous and better known than they'd ever been before. I could say in my case, I'm one of, I think, probably millions of people who, before they erased him from everything, I'm not sure I'd ever even heard his name before. So I became acquainted with him because they were trying to suppress him.
I know. You said that, and I was wrong. You said that it's going to make him more famous, and I said, I don't know. But him getting on, like, Fox News, it got all the old people watching him. That's how all, like, the people your age...
No, I don't know that they were watching him, but they became acquainted with him and
yeah, but now people your age are familiar with Tate for the most part.
Oh my God, look at all the aunts and the grandmas on the.
Well, yeah, but they're like the base grandmas, like they all, they watch it because I'm a YouTuber.
But now because of them though, all their friends are watching our YouTube channel, or at least watching their shows, and they're all familiar with Andrew Tate. And I think that because he's now also really been all over the mainstream media, they're reporting on this. Everybody knows who he is, and I think
this Vice documentary.
I was proven right. He's just getting bigger and bigger.
No, yeah, this Vice documentary that just came out is so dookie. I wonder what all the libs and people who haven't. They didn't
do this to Hitler.
They didn't do this to Epstein. They didn't do this to Balenciaga. They didn't do this to anyone that did anything actually bad. They're taking the lover boy method and they're calling him a sex trafficker and going after him with all this nonsense. Complete nonsense.
Which was a positive result, in my view, if for no other reason than the fact that the censors and deplatformers deserve to have their efforts backfire in such spectacular fashion. So anytime they try to cancel someone and that person becomes more famous, I'm happy. Because they deserve, the cancelers and deplatformers deserve to have that result. Now, the most recent update on Tate is that he was arrested last week by Romanian authorities on charges of sex trafficking. He says that this is simply just another attempt by the powers that be to punish and silence him. Meanwhile, the powers that be say that he raped and sexually exploited multiple women. That's what he's accused of. Now, as for my opinion on the man, I can say nothing about the criminal charges. I simply have no idea whether he's guilty or not. His accusers will have to prove his guilt in a court of law. When it comes to the less serious matter of his allegedly offensive opinions, I would say that some of his opinions are indeed objectionable in my view, though certainly not deserving of censorship, while some of his opinions are not only correct, but insightful and important. He's a human being, in other words, not right all the time, not wrong all the time. I tend to concur with Ben Shapiro's take on Andrew Tate, as he expressed in his podcast a few days ago. Tate is very often good at identifying some of the problems, especially as they pertain to the situation that men face in the culture. So, for example, here's a video he posted on his Twitter page a few days ago, cut from an earlier interview with Tucker Carlson. And this is an example of the good stuff. Let's listen to that.
Tell us what your message is to young men.
Yeah, so I think that being a man is very, very difficult. I think that men's issues are largely overlooked. A lot of young men growing up today that feel very disaffected. They feel invisible. the agendas that are being forced down their throats are not agendas they align with or they feel affinity to or agendas they want. And I basically just say to men, look, it's a very hard life. You're going to need to get up, work hard, go to the gym. Strong body is a strong mind. You're going to have to reject listening blindly to everything you're told, reject the slave mind, think for yourself, get a strong network of brothers, work aside them. Don't tolerate low quality people in your life, which means don't tolerate men who just smoke drugs and play video games, and try and build and create a reality full of high quality people in which you can resist the programming that the Matrix tries to influence you with, and grow up truly happy.
You know, and people, so like they'll say like, yeah, well, that's good, but the other stuff he says is bad. And it's like, you know what, it really isn't that bad, because like if you listen to him talk with context, a lot of the time it makes sense. Like 99% of the things, almost all of the things that they try to say he's like actually wrong about, it's just taken out of context. I want to give this clip from the PhD course, for example. This is something that, you know, when they watch every single minute of his 1,000 hours of footage, they didn't decide to include.
Ask a woman what she wants to eat, she doesn't know. They want to be told what to do. Come with me. If she says no, that's perfectly fine. Remember, you're not fucking psycho. I don't want any of you motherfuckers getting rape charges and the police finding this video and coming after me for it, because I ain't done nothing fucking wrong to anybody. Just saying. You're clear. We're all going to mine, or I'm going to mine and come with me. Oh no, I really want to go home. No problem. You do not ask twice.
Even the woman stuff, it's honestly good advice a lot of the time.
That's good advice.
Like this is the stuff I listen to, and then when I'm with girls and they're like obsessed with how I'm a gentleman and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, I got that from my mom and from listening to some men on the internet.
And
you know?
your dad.
Yeah, my dad too. Oh, you know what I mean? Like my parents, but like.
I just
It's just so funny how like the PhD course, which they're acting like it was like a course on how to rape women. Realistically, that's not what it is at all.
It was so that Vice documentary was so slanted. It was like they wrote it before they met him, and they just then tried to edit it in order to fit the hit piece that they were trying to accomplish.
It is garbage.
Now, all that is true. It's good that he's saying it. It's also enough on its own to get you deplatformed. You don't need to say anything more offensive, quote unquote, than what you just heard in that clip to earn the ire of the left and of our cultural elites. But where Tate goes off the rails is in the remedy that he suggests. Now, some of his prescriptions are reasonable and correct. Go to the gym, work hard, build networks, be around high quality people. I mean, these are all, I don't disagree on any of those counts. Yet he also brags about sleeping with many different women. He promotes a kind of ostentatious materialism, saying that the best way to be a manly man is to make a lot of money and buy fancy cars and show off your wealth. He says things like this tweet a couple of weeks ago. He tweeted this. Genghis Khan had endless women and 200 children as reward for conquest. I am the most searched man on the planet. I have conquered Earth. I am the highest status male on the planet. Females do not expect loyalty from me. They only expect that of lesser men. Now, this is not masculinity, an over-the-top, blustering kind of ego, declaring yourself to be the highest status man on the planet. This is a sign of insecurity, not strength. I mean, anytime you feel the need to announce to the public, especially on social media, how great you are, every single time you are doing that because you are insecure. No secure person ever feels the need to do that. No man comfortable with his status feels the need to brag about his status.
He's right about that.
You think so? Like, why do they always go to like calling people insecure? Like, you're insecure if you're confident, or if you feel like you need to say this. Like, what's up with that?
It's not no.
Because he's not insecure. Like, let's just be realistic.
He's being really cocky and obnoxious with that kind of talk. And
it's a tweet.
Like that's, no, but he does a lot of that. I'm the best man on the planet. I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet. And
I think that's what a lot of people like. This is what we bash him for, but I think that's what a lot of motherfuckers need to hear is some confidence like that, and they need to look at themselves in the mirror and think, I'm the man. You know what I mean? That's what no one's thinking. Right. That all we're told is that men are shit, women are better. You know, we need to just like, you know, put our dick between our legs and, you know, run off and cry and do all this nonsense.
You were never told that.
That's what all of them are telling us.
Well, you weren't
but you know
told
what?
that at home.
Like, oh my God, okay, a guy once in a while with some.
You weren't told that at home, so that's where we just get a bigger point. Keep your kids out of schools that teach that stuff, and because they'll stick in the end with what they learn at home.
But I'm just saying, like, I just don't think it's as bad as they all make it sound. Because, like, I think men need someone like that with confidence and to tell them to be confident in yourself. And if you want to get to this level that I'm at, where I am the fucking man and I can justifiably say I'm the man, then you need to work and get here.
No, I get it. What he does is sometimes he'll put himself on a pedestal and he will insult other people. And I don't think it's ever okay to step on someone else's neck or have to insult people to prove your own own worth. If you're that great, it should be self-evident, and you shouldn't have to be walking around, I'm all this and I'm all that. I don't like that as a personality trait, and I think it is a way of putting other people down. If you're that great, it just shines and it shows. I think a lot of what he does, you know, I like Andrew Tate, but when he talks like that, I just kind of roll my eyes and look the other way, and I just think it's hyperbole and it's part of a brand.
Well, 100%.
To get attention. I think he's actually more humble and calm than that in other interviews where I've seen him being more relaxed.
Yeah,
this
totally.
This is his marketing. And so, you know, Matt, I don't know if Matt's going a little too deep on it about him being insecure, because I think it's just his brand.
Worst of all, Tate suggests that loyalty is a virtue of lesser men, which could not possibly be more wrong.
Yes, that is true.
Any
I agree
man
with
can
Matt
be
on that.
disloyal, okay? Anyone can be disloyal. Any man, especially if he has a lot of money, can sleep with a bunch of different women and discard them. In fact, any man with not a lot of money can still do the same if he's willing to, you know, go out and buy the affections of a $2 hooker for a few minutes.
Yeah, but I think that's different anyways. Like, I think, you know, obviously anyone can go and buy a hooker, but that's kind of like an outlier of the point. Like, if you're going out and buying hookers, that's a different problem.
He was again
than
speaking
cheating.
in hyperbole, and
then he goes and
a man with no money can go out and talk women and be a cheater and have girls fist fighting in the gutter over him. It's unbelievable what goes on. So
Yeah.
I think
Those are
that
awesome trash.
loyalty and keeping your word and honor are not easy things, and that's what is the measure of a real man who is able to do that and who has that kind of character. So I completely disagree with him. And Genghis Khan was a royal asshole. So to make it seem like that's a role model, also not a good choice.
That's not impressive, much less a sign of masculine strength. Real masculinity.
Well, I'm gonna say, like, I agree with you there. Like, it's not it's not the most impressive thing that you can go out and sleep with multiple girls. But I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty impressive that he can retain multiple girlfriends at once. Like, that is crazy. That is nuts to think about. Like, thinking of the process of actually doing that.
What is the mental state of these women that are okay with that?
I'm not even saying that. Like, I'm not preaching to go out and do that. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. Who knows? Like, that might be too much. Like, where I'm just like, it's not worth the mental space to have different girls. I don't care that much. But
you would lose your fucking mind if I ask you to do, as your mother, ask you to do the same thing twice. You're like, God damn it, leave me alone. Okay, now you're 19. You're gonna outgrow some of that, but the thought of you having like 3 or 4 broads texting you all day, asking you what the plan is.
Well, saying that's my point. Like, it's crazy to manage all that. Like, that's impressive. Like, that is impressive because they have to swallow that importance of monogamy inside of them and their partner to be with him. Like, you gotta build yourself that much up as a man. Where like the girls, like, they don't care about it as much. Like, that's a wild thought.
I can't even imagine. There is not a man on earth that is worth that to me. But
yeah, but like
take your $1 billion and pound it. I don't care.
Real masculinity and also real joy and contentment in life is found in the man who remains loyal and devoted to his family. This is not only the more difficult path, but it's the more rewarding path by far.
Yeah,
on both
and
counts.
it's also like agreed. Like, going and sleeping with a bunch of random people isn't fulfilling. Like, having, you know, one woman that's like not yours, but like your girlfriend that's like you're loyal to. Like, yeah, it's not a bad thing. Like, no, I'm saying. Like, sleeping around and like doing all that shit, that's just like haram. So he's right there.
Loyalty and humility are both virtues of the truly masculine man, and yet they are virtues that Andrew Tate explicitly militates against. Like, he's against those things, and will say so. So while he gives young men some good and important advice, he still winds up leaving them, ultimately, where they began, which is stranded, alone, confused. But the real question that we should be asking in regards to Andrew Tate isn't whether he's right or wrong about everything he says.
I would love to watch a conversation between Tate and like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro. That'd be awesome.
If I had a genie, what a wish, that would be a good one. You know,
that's what you'd wish for with a genie.
Well, if I had like a lot of wishes and I kind of ran out of things to wish for, yeah.
Every time a new figure comes along with a message directed at men, okay, our cultural overlords will swoop in immediately to discredit, destroy, and silence that person. Every single time. These self-appointed gatekeepers have never met a man with a message for men who they didn't find problematic and misogynistic. That's because while Tate may veer off in various wrong directions.
You know what I find so interesting about The Matrix is that they still need people on the right to be like the spokesperson and faces of the right. So even like the Matrix agents, they chose like Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro. They were like, all right, you guys are allowed to have your platform. You're not getting too crazy. We'll let you be like the face of the right wing movement. Because like who knows where my channel's gonna go? No.
Why isn't Greg Gutfeld banned and Jesse Waters and Tucker Carlson?
That's a little more down the rabbit hole, but like it's all the Matrix. Like let's just be real. It is, and like there's something about where even on like Tucker Carlson, where he's like giving him Andrew the platform to speak, you know, people would be like, yeah, that's why like Fox News is like the truth, because like they're letting him speak. But then it's like, if you let people think that, like if you give people like a piece of it and let them think that you are the truth, then you can still kind of say, I'm butchering this big time. Do you see where I'm trying to go with it?
That if you give people some truth, that takes over your credibility.
Exactly.
And then you gain credibility.
Do you see my point?
But you gain, like a broken clock gets credibility for being right
so,
twice
like,
a day.
I noticed that in like the Vice documentary when the Vice guy mentioned the point of Tate beating up that girl in the video, but then right after he talked about the video where the girl came out and said it was play. So like I saw that and I was like, all right, he's definitely including that to get us to think that he's
That
like
this is a
more
balanced
that he.
piece.
Do you see my point
Yeah,
now?
create one little piece of balance.
That's like deep Matrix shit. Like this, it's all controlled. But it's a pretty crazy thought.
Critics on the left are concerned there is no direction he could take the message that they wouldn't consider dangerous and toxic. Well, there is one. I mean, if he was preaching a gospel of self-loathing to men, if he was telling young men to hate themselves and apologize for being who they are, if he was talking about toxic masculinity, then they would shower him with praise. They'd give him a doctorate, you know, and he'd have a book deal. He'd get glowing interviews on Good Morning America. That is the only thing anyone is allowed to say to men. If you're addressing men specifically, okay, in the public sphere, if you're saying, hey, men, and then you continue to have a message for them, the only acceptable message, as far as our culture is concerned, is shame on you, stop being that way, be more like a woman.
I love masculinity.
And that's precisely...
I absolutely love masculinity, and I love femininity, and I love the opposite, black and white, yin yang that they play against each other. And they're trying to make women more masculine and men more feminine so that we're just this smushy, homogenous human race. It doesn't... Get my lip gloss out of your nose. And they're just trying to make us all the same. And it's so fucking boring.
Tough
it's
cookie.
So gross. It's unnatural. It doesn't feel right. Like, stop trying to take away my femininity and try to make me turn into a dude.
Even in that public interview video I made, when I asked October, she was like, doesn't he have like a club where it's like men are better? And I was like, no, but he like teaches men to be in touch with their masculinity. And she's like, yeah, like why is that bad for a guy to be in touch with his masculinity, but like girls can just do whatever they want and girls can be in touch with their femininity? Like once it's my turn to be in touch with, like,
they can't really, they say they're feminists, but they really don't want women to be in touch with their femininity.
I know,
they
it is
don't want us to
interesting.
be in touch with those natural instincts to nurture and care for our families.
What do they want? Like what's their goal? What do they want?
I don't really know. I don't
like
really
if they
know.
could like snap their fingers, like the gender pay gap, that's a myth. Like
okay, they want at least 50% of all CEOs to be female.
So stupid.
That's one thing I keep seeing,
So
as if that
stupid.
freaking would make anything better.
I'm not even gonna go down that.
It's
shit.
not
Let's just get back
working.
to the
It's
video.
not working.
And that's precisely why Andrew Tate and guys like him resonate, and they find such an enthusiastic and devoted following. They are speaking to men in a way that isn't resentful, isn't accusatory, isn't condescending. And they are among the only people on the national stage doing that, so the audience naturally goes to them, to the guy who isn't spitting in their face. It kind of makes sense. And as I said at the beginning, a huge percentage of young men are raised in homes where there is no fatherly role model. Often isn't a father present at all. And in so many other cases, there might be a father physically present in the home, but he's not present emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. He's not present in any other way. He's just there. He's a lump on a log. So they're not taught how to be men, how to harness their masculinity, how to constructively use all of the energy and aggression that's brimming inside of them.
All right, fuck it. I'm starting the new Fight Club. Starting a Fight Club. I'm gonna make.
Can I
I'm gonna
be the
buy.
ref?
I'm gonna buy a beaten. No, you're not. You're not allowed. I'm gonna buy a beaten down bar, and we're gonna just go there and just fucking kill each
I
other.
will be there.
No, you won't.
Yeah, I will.
Out in society, they're greeted with
Trust me.
accusations and scorn, and they're told that they must suppress their masculinity, feminize themselves. Then a guy like Andrew Tate comes along and says, no, it's good to be a man. It is good to be tough and strong and masculine.
Why does it even need to be said? I get so frustrated and upset when I think about how far we've come, that this is the conversation we're having. That we're having a conversation about trying to defend men from just being what they naturally are. And why we have to do this is just the stupidest thing in the world. Let men be where they are. This is, again, just smokescreen. They have us arguing about complete nonsense as a smokescreen so that the politicians and the powerful business people that own them can just go about their business, making money, polluting the earth, poisoning us with, genetically modified foods.
But convincing us that we need to kill the cows.
We're over here poisoning us with genetically modified foods that we pay for, and then they're over here, they cause cancer and diabetes and obesity and all heart disease, and then they're over here making money on the other end on the cures or the treatments and
I know
and
they
all
pay
that.
to make us sick, and then they
get paid to make us sick,
yeah.
and then they get paid to not even really make us well,
to cure
treat
us.
And so that's really what it is all about. And so they have us over here arguing about foolishness, and I get angry, as you know, but then I have to really say, when I remember to just take a breath and step back, and I get more into all these conversations around religion that we've had about Christianity and Islam. When I get into thinking about God's role in my life, and I just refocus on that, all of a sudden it just sucks the power out of all this nonsense. And it really helps me to calm down and realize that this is not what matters. It just doesn't.
They prefer to listen to him, and they are justified in preferring him, considering the alternatives. The correct response to Andrew Tate, then, isn't to silence him and condemn his followers. It is instead to say, yes, he's right. It is indeed good to be a man. And then to follow that with a better and clearer vision of what it means to be a man and how a man should behave, what his roles and duties are, what direction he should go. Because that's what these young men are looking for. They're looking for direction and guidance. If you don't have that to offer, then just step to the side. They're much better off listening to Andrew Tate than to someone who believes that the best version of a man is a woman. What we should be telling young men, what I will and do teach my sons, is that a man has a noble calling to protect and to provide. He is uniquely equipped to fulfill this role and was made by God for that purpose. He is a protector, he is a provider. That's what a man is supposed to be. That is what every man is supposed to be, every single one. And any man who is not that, who is not doing that, will fall into despair.
What about XQC?
Because
what about XQC?
Nobody
XQC.
Nobody ever told him that.
Did I ever show you the video of XQC reacting to that, to you roasting him?
XQC is the result of feminism gone wild, turning men into women. That's what they want to do, and look, they've done it.
Look at his face.
I want to know what he says.
That is just.
What the fuck? What the fuck is that shit, man? What the fuck was that?
I'm going to be honest. That woman received so much backlash from XQC's community that she even apologized.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, when did that ever happen?
When did I apologize?
Just a common YouTube
I
comment.
would repeat that right now. He's the result of feminism gone wild.
he is useless. And the worst thing that a man can be or feel is useless. Nearly every man who has committed suicide, and the suicide rate among young men is increasing. And nearly all of them, it's in part because that's how they felt about themselves. Useless. There's no point to their life, nothing for them to do. So this is what a man is made to be. And most men are meant to find the ultimate fulfillment and expression of that role of protector and provider in the family, as father and husband. Not all men, though. Some men are called to serve in another way. But all are called to serve. All are meant to live their lives in service to something greater than themselves, No man is meant to live aimlessly, wandering from place to place, motivated merely by the drive to satisfy his desires from one moment to the next.
Well, I've talked to you about this, that, everybody needs a purpose.
Yeah.
And this is why they create these fake problems and latch onto them so that they feel that they have a purpose, because they don't ever really take the time to align with what their true purpose might be, because they think it needs to be a big, bold purpose. And when it may be just as simple as providing for your family and protecting your family, as he's talking about.
That's what a guy wants to do, is just provide and protect. That's like intrinsically, that's just what the guys want to do. And if you can't, you feel like a bitch.
I think though that a lot of that natural instinct
That's why,
that
like,
you're born with is really jarred and interrupted by trauma.
Matrix.
No, yes, okay. Like, imagine that there's, arrows of shit ruining somebody, from the second they're born, hitting them and wounding them, and the Matrix, an abusive or absentee father, an alcoholic mother, sexual abuse from a priest or teacher or somebody, outside the family unit.
They don't know me, son.
Like all those things really start to interrupt it, that natural rhythm, and it's hard to get back to. And I think that's what Tate is trying to do. He's trying to say, forget all the noise, forget all the bullshit that happened in your life. You can sit and whine and cry about it, or you can just man up and build yourself into something. And that's a message that, why is that dangerous? Because it's dangerous to the powers that be. Imagine if everyone in America had that mentality and we were like truly strong individuals with a common mindset. How different would this country look? Well, the people in charge would have to answer to us. That's for sure.
It's a crazy thought. Like, I think about that, even with like them arresting Tate. It's like, dude, the people who are in control of if he can leave or not are probably Tate fans. Like, if all of us were just like, fuck this, we're not listening to you. Like, what would they do about it? What would they do if we were all just like, nah, I'm done.
Nah.
All the people in the military, nah, I don't feel like doing that. No, I don't believe that. Like, no, like, what would they do? Would this one sergeant, would he go and just start whooping everyone? No. If everyone was like, fuck that, that's not how it would go. It's crazy. It's a crazy thought.
Very
inconvenient. No man
inconvenient.
can find fulfillment in that life, but that is the life many are condemned to because they've never been shown another way. Because the cultural powers that be have decided that we're not allowed to show them another way. Our culture tells men that they're not called to do anything in particular, that their sex should have no bearing on what they do or how they interact with the world. And we call this freedom. But it's the sort of freedom you give to a man in the desert by taking away his compass and his map. You take that all away and you say, see, you're free now to wander and go nowhere and die.
And die.
That's not freedom, that's despair, which are two things that are very often conflated these days. Is it any mystery that these wandering men would so eagerly follow the first guy who comes along and seems to know where he's going? If his map isn't as reliable as he thinks or claims, well, it's better than no map at all. Because if you're completely lost, you might as well follow whoever claims to know the way, even if he takes you in circles.
Okay, so that's exactly what's happening is with all this left ideology, this woke ideology, is that they're coming along saying, I have a map, follow me, I'm going to show you the way to be the most awesome person and be righteous and be wonderful, and they're winning a lot of people, and now they're seeing him come along, and people are looking over their shoulder going, but wait, how about that? And they're pissed, because they lose money, they lose power every time somebody defects to another way. I like the analogy.
We cannot push away all of the people who are trying to guide these young men only to replace their voices with silence.
Not only silence, just garbage.
Talk about
I mean,
women
it's so obvious that, like, the people that, like, when there's that interview of the lawyer interviewing the guy, Tate's lawyer was getting interviewed, and he was like, Tate thinks that it's like global elites that don't like that he's speaking too much and that they're trying to cancel him. He was like, ha ha ha, like it's a big conspiracy. And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? That's what you're going after him for? Like, get out of here. Everybody they could find something on everybody to go to jail. On everybody. If you ever slept with a girl, well, looks like you raped her.
I smuggled a dog in.
You smuggled a dog in from Mexico when you were 20. You can go to jail.
I had a
Tough
warrant.
shit.
I had a warrant out
It's
for
the
my
law.
arrest in Texas once.
Why?
'Cause there was a speeding ticket and I didn't pay it. I forgot about it.
And they had a warrant for your arrest?
Yeah, and so I was driving from the East Coast to the West Coast, got a speeding ticket on the way, totally forgot about it. And then a few months later, I was back home at grandma's house, and my driver's license was still at her house. And she came in the kitchen and she was like, "What is this? What is this?" And it was the thing that said there was a warrant out for my arrest because I didn't pay the speeding ticket and I never showed up.
Oh,
in
and
court
she was
for
probably freaking out.
I thought it was fantastic.
Did you ever end up paying it or anything?
I don't remember. I must have. The thing that really stands out.
You would be
is that
amazed how much you can get away with if you refuse to comply.
I was just
Ignore.
proud of myself that I was wanted in Texas.
You know, there was one time I understand that shit that he says where it's like you could get away with so much if you just refuse to comply. So much stuff is just scare tactics to get you to do it, and if you just didn't do it, nothing would happen. Like,
yes, but don't take that to mean don't pay your taxes.
No, but
you know, because you're 19 and your brain isn't fully formed, and you can
that's
take
not
that
even what
to
I'm saying.
extreme.
I was gonna tell you a story. In 10th grade, I got caught cheating in chemistry, and when you get caught cheating, you're supposed to go to the principal and you're supposed to write a letter or like go tell him that you got caught and give him this form and write this email and all this, and tell your parents. You never found out till now. And I never did it. I didn't do it. I was the one kid that just was like, nah. I'm not doing it. Like if I don't do it, you come tell me and like remind me in like emails to do it. I'm not doing it. And I know you just didn't remind me and I didn't get in trouble. But guess what? I could have just gone and done it. And for what? I wouldn't have even gotten I didn't even get in trouble.
And had a whole song and dance from the principal, your teachers, detentions. You were in detention all the time anyway.
Oh, I would have had done what I had to do with you guys. I would have wanted to shoot myself. Sonny, you've been late 27 times this year. I have a video where I'm getting yelled at in the principal's office.
Oh, we have to find that.
Oh my God, I'll find it. I have it. You want to see it real quick?
On the 3rd, you came to school at 9:15. No parent, no. No call, no. And that was on the 3rd, October 3rd. So
I'm just sitting there laughing.
What that was at BC High?
Yeah, and I mean, I like that guy. I'm still cool with him.
Sonny was always in detention. There was this system that I could log into, and I'm kind of like you, and I logged in like sometimes. And you always had a reason why you were like home late or getting leaving late for school or whatever. And I was just like whatever. And then one day I logged in, and it showed like whatever it was, like dozens of jugs, and I was like, you go to detention every day? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. And I couldn't even get mad because I was a detention kid too.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram @SunnyFaz,
Follow me on Sonny's mother.
and we'll see you later.